You know, I really haven't. I really haven't kept up on any kind of metal drama in a while.
Basically, what's happened is
it the same old shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same old. And as I was explaining in the other video, I mean, they're fucked because Metal Socks isn't going to suddenly embrace them because they've had Craig in the band, and now they've lost respect from their fans.
Yeah, they're dead in the water now.
Yep. So we were talking earlier.
They made an
Yeah. I mean,
totally emotional. Didn't think about it. Yep.
So we were talking earlier about the Lords of Chaos trailer. Oh my god!
I haven't seen it yet, by the way. So,
well, you were saying that it's an art project. It's not, though. This is literally not.
I just mean the subject matter belongs in the hands of somebody who can make a movie like that.
Yeah, you'd think.
You know what I'm saying?
This looks a lot more like an indie coming of age story involved basically turning black metal into indie rock.
So, you know, and I'm not Mr. Big Time Black Metal guy, you know that. But even I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. Like, it's vile to do that.
The movie, which comes out on February 8th, it seems to be that the plot is this guy who's supposed to be Varg Vikernes starts out as a Poison fan and takes black and starts out and then it winds up taking black metal way too seriously and ends up killing Euronymous. That's basically how it.
It's been a long time since I've heard the tale, but it was nothing like that, right? I mean,
Varg was already in Old Funeral in '89, way before he met Euronymous. He was already into death and black metal and all that. I don't know if he ever wore a Poison t-shirt, but
wow.
It's just everything else is wrong. I mean, like I said, they have American accents. It's pretty clear that Euronymous was.
How do you fuck this up? Like, the real life story is intriguing enough. You don't have to dress it up any kind of way.
They fuck it up because they'd rather have reading the book Lords of Chaos. It's very sensationalistic. There's very little that's actually true, and they spend most of the time talking about the murders, which is interesting. I mean, I'm not saying don't focus on the murders, but at least get the facts right. But of course, they cover Faust's murder of the random gay guy in the park. Gay guy in the park.
Gay murder in the park.
Of course, they covered that, and they covered Dead killing himself and all that. But it just
still one of the most like. I feel like he wants me to laugh about it.
It looks so romantic. Like, just the subject matter looks sort of it's romantic, but it's also whitewashed. Whitewashed, get it? Varg Vikernes whitewashed.
Because he's Mr. Whitey Man, right?
Yeah, right. He is the savior of the white race. So it looks. Oh, Varg. If you just lay off the whole like racist stuff, I feel like he and us would be like good friends.
He's, that's like a modern thing. It's not as modern as maybe a lot of people would think, but the whole race realism movement, it's on every side.
Because he's basically a huge.
That's nerd. What it is. That's what it is. Yeah, I know. I don't listen to him that much, but I've listened to him enough to know, like, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically a huge nerd. But so the whole thing about Lords of Chaos is it's weird because it's both romanticizing it and it's trying to make it seem like it's inoffensive. Like I have no idea how to describe this. You just have to see the trailer. Of course, I haven't seen the movie yet. Once I see the movie, I'll give the full review. But yes, it looks like an indie coming of age story. It looks like innocent.
That's people. Terrible.
Yes.
Well, like I could see maybe working in a like coming to age kind of thing, maybe, but that's not what the fucking story is.
No, but they wanted to turn a profit. I mean, this guy Jonas Ackerlund, who weirdly enough was the original drummer for a little known band, called Bathory.
Oh
Um,
God, really?
you'd think he'd know his shit. Unfortunately, this the way he writes is very odd. It also doesn't help that the bands refused to work with them, so they had to cover all the music.
You know what else too? Like this kind of story, like I watched that Unabomber TV show. It was good, but stories like that, they're best served told in a documentary style. I
Or
honestly, because
or in books.
yeah, yes, very attention to detail kind of thing.
With a
Whereas
movie,
if you just do this, yeah, like it brushes over so much because you need to tell the story and get the moral of the story out and everything.
Lords
You
of
can't just.
Chaos is an interesting book if you like true crime. Okay,
I love true crime. I love that kind of shit.
then by all means read it because it's actually quite a fun read. If you want a history of black metal, no. If you want a history of black metal, there's a book called Black Metal: Evolution of the Cult. Yeah, they
Or
talk
just,
about
or honestly, just tune into this YouTube channel.
Black Metal
Honestly,
Evolution of the Cult is my go-to. Yes, of course, it talks about
okay.
the murders and the church burnings and all that because that's an integral part of black metal. But
Oh, there's so
Black
much more though. I mean,
Lords of Chaos basically glosses over the history, like you know, a couple
how the
paragraphs
music
each.
evolved.
Yeah, how the music evolved, a couple paragraphs each, and then it gets into the church burnings, Varg's beliefs, weird shit about pagans, which is interesting. But and then my favorite chapters are actually the ones about crimes around the world that they link to either black metal or the spirit of black metal in
That's awesome.
Finland. And oh yeah, it like I said, if you want a true crime book, you can do a lot worse than Lords of Chaos. So
Since we're talking about music, I saw that you'd posted something on social media at one point that said it's funny that how all the people who are saying rock is dead are all in shitty bands.
bring me the horizon.
Wait, I've never listened to that band. I already hate them just based on the name.
So they started out as metalcore and now they're pop. Like,
Okay, they
sure.
said that rock is dead.
They said that rock is dead and that
Okay,
that
how
rap
old
is
are they?
more interesting. Oh god, they've been around about 10, 12, 15 years maybe.
So they're probably in their 30s at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't. They didn't live when rock was thriving. They didn't live when it was at its
Well,
peak.
not
So
just that.
really, they could keep their fucking mouths shut.
Well, not just that. They also don't know about the underground. I mean, they started out playing a mainstream style of metal. Now they want to be the gateway band for people into rock and saying that rap's more interesting. Other people like some more mainstream like 80s glam musicians think that rock is dead. But all these people are people who like, yeah, in the mainstream, maybe rock is dead. I have no idea. Last time I
Yeah,
even knew what was in the mainstream
the
was like,
only reason rock went mainstream, if you trail it all the way fucking back to its origins, is because it was just something that's never been done before, and it got people's attention. It
rock has
happened.
never had a good relationship with the mainstream. Like certain genres have, but metal in the mainstream have had a dubious courtship at best.
Well, that's because typically I would say that metal musicians are the type of people who want complete and total dominance over their project,
Yes.
and they cannot work with other. It just it's some of them can, some of them can do an okay job compromising and doing this and that. Some of them can pull it off, but normally, I mean,
I
with the
mean,
kind of
even a
metal that
band,
you want to listen to, like really art underground stuff, that's going to be pretty much almost completely independent.
well, hell, even a band like Iron Maiden, which is on a major label and stuff, they do exactly what they want to do. Oh, we want to do a 20-minute song. Done. We want to do.
Well, that's in large part to their producer never telling them, okay, enough.
Yeah, they've always had good producers. Well, maybe not on the first album, but they've always
Well,
had
one of the
producers.
criticisms that I have of Iron Maiden is that sometimes it's weird coming from a prog rock guy like me, but sometimes they drone on a little too long.
It's weird that you don't
Like,
like prog Maiden and I do.
I like oh fucking goddamn it.
Like
Uh
I don't
the
know.
Blade Runner album. What the fuck? Something in Time? Fuck.
Somewhere in Time.
Yes. Yeah, I do like that one.
Like I don't know, there's just something about the longer Maiden songs that just appeals to me a lot more than say Dream Theater, which is going to come out with a new album apparently.
I have not listened to it. I just haven't
I
been.
listened to a single.
It's, you know, they went at it really, really hard there for like 5 years, man. They released a bunch of shit. And it feels like now they're just starting to quote themselves.
Well, yeah.
And I really think that they need to think about giving it a hiatus. I really do.
Well, yeah. Of course, they haven't fallen as far as Mike Portnoy has.
No, that idiot. For heaven's sake.
He's now in a band called Metal Allegiance, which is exactly what you think it is. Dumbed down metal celebrating the love of metal, which is fun. I mean, if it's fun for getting drunk to, but any sort of substance. Tool is releasing a new album in April.
Until Volcano Records sets a press release and says it's a go, I'm not listening to a fucking word that the members of Tool say to the fucking media about releasing any kind of album. I learned that lesson a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, right. They just need to do it.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to fire that motherfucker because he's a bitch. He's a punk bitch. He became exactly what he despised when he was younger. That motherfucker. I can't stand him anymore.
I just don't understand. I mean, I'm guessing they all have side projects, but I just don't understand why. Like, part of being in a band is making new music and things like that. I don't understand.
Did you hear what he had to say about Adam and Danny and Justin?
What?
He was all bitchy about, like, well, I've got my wine and Pussifer and all these other side things, and those guys need it done a certain way, and it's like whining about it. It's like,
he's got a
what
perfect
are you whining about? Like, what are you fucking whining? You have like the coolest job of all time. You get to be a fucking rock star. Like, what the fuck's your problem, dude?
I know Adam Jones was in the not the Melvins, but when the Melvins did a thing with Jello Biafra, he played on their albums. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like Adam. I like Adam a lot. I think he's the real backbone of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and he'll never get the recognition for it, other than among. What the fuck is all that fucking noise?
That's my microphone buzzes. So I can't control it.
Oh damn.
Adam, I didn't really. I'm not a huge Tool fan, but he can play a guitar, as you could hear on the two albums of Jello and the Melvins. I mean, he's pretty out. He needs to do a metal album.
I would just like them. They could hire another singer. There's dudes out there who could do it, but I'd rather them just do a fucking
or just go instrumental. I mean, go like Pelican and do instrumental.
Yeah.
But, the thing about Maynard is, he's got Pussifer, which I have never heard. He's got a Perfect Circle,
it's
which
gay.
I never liked.
Pussifer's gay. There's might be a song or here and there that's catchy, but I'm not gonna ever put them in my fucking stereo.
The only thing I know about a Perfect Circle is I met the drummer once.
Oh, right on.
Josh.
I like the first album, and that's it.
Josh something or other.
I like the first album, but to be honest with you, the first album is just Tool. Like,
well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And I don't know if any of them have side projects, but it's like I mean, Dark Throne, it just keeps cranking out albums, just because that's what they do. They don't play live or anything. That's it's what they do. They play, That's I don't get like bands like Metallica and Maiden who wait 7-8 years between albums or whatever. I mean, playing the same song live is, there comes a time when you're like, I have ideas. I want to put more out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I like more prolific styles.
Say what you will about Megadeth. they've never really taken a break. He broke up the band for like a 6 months, but he's only gone 2 years between releasing albums at his most unprolific. So
Yeah, I had this kind of discussion about like someone's dedication to their craft, and I pointed out Lemmy as probably
yeah,
the most like. And the person I was talking to was like, "Yeah, but Motorhead, it's all Ace of Spades." That's that old thing that you always hear about Motorhead. It's like, dude, you have no idea. Like, you just haven't grabbed another album and pressed play and just shut the fuck up and listened.
The thing about Motorhead is they understood the one rule, right? Don't invent for inventive's sake. Don't change for change's sake. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, they just rode that fucking thing all the way.
There's a difference between stagnation and knowing what, I mean, it's just, I mean, I could put on any Motorhead album and get enjoyment out of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they were, 23. Another band is Overkill. Granted, Overkill sort of went groovy in the 90s. I still say they're the best groove metal. They're about to release their 19th album.
Jesus.
So they've been going at it for a long time.
I would like to know if Buckethead has set some kind of record.
I'm sure there's some jazz or classical or guy.
There's got to be some kind of record, out there like that. And I wonder where Buckethead falls, because that motherfucker just keeps going. It's crazy.
He's gonna be like Tupac. He's gonna 30 years after he dies. There's gonna be new Buckethead material.
You know it too. You know that dude probably sits at his house all day, just fucking recording shit.
He hasn't been outside in like 10 years or whatever.
Probably some crazy like that. Yeah. I wonder who. Like, I think I've heard his name before, but I forgot it because I don't care. I just want to know him as Buckethead, right?
I love his fake biography about how he was like raised in Disneyland and like
raised in a chicken coop by his grandma and his mom.
Yeah, raised in a chicken coop, and then like he used to play for e-tickets at Disneyland, and it was like completely like bizarre.
It would be interesting to get to know the person behind the mask, but the mask makes it what it is. Like,
I've heard he's a pretty I don't want to say normal person, but I've heard he's a pretty nice guy. He's just very reclusive and very. Did you ever hear the story about Ozzy Osbourne wanting to play with him?
No.
Okay, so Ozzy Osbourne wanted to play with Buckethead, I believe in 2000, and he wouldn't take off the mask. And so Ozzy's like, well, you got to take off the mask, because so he comes out in this like Martian suit thing, and Ozzy's like, well, why do you need to wear that? What's your name? And he goes, well, Brian. And he goes, well, why don't I call you Brian? And Buckethead goes, because only my mom calls me Brian. And Ozzy's like, pretend I'm your fucking mom then. And then he said in an interview, Jesus, I've known him for 10 minutes. I'm already playing mind games with him.
Dude, fuck you, Ozzy. Get your ass on the stage and spaceman. Just shut up.
He continues, I wouldn't be surprised if one day he's gone and there's a note saying I've been beamed up. Which is true. Instead of dying, there's just gonna be this light.
Yeah, that dude's gonna show up in the news 10 years from now. And like, yeah, I'm that Buckethead guy, but yeah, I'm back and I've changed because I know the truth. There's aliens and here they are. And on live television, the invasion begins because of Buckethead.
Yeah. He's just one of those eccentric. I mean, just he's a musician,
He's a musician who seems to have a high degree of autism, to be honest. Like,
I don't know if it's not autism. I mean,
just laser focus and drive to record music, because it's absurd how it's superhuman what that dude's doing. To be honest,
I wish I had a 10th of his drive. If I had a 10th of his drive, I mean, First of all, I think he's a very smart person. Every interview I've read seems to indicate he's actually a very intelligent person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
And
in order to do what he does as successfully as he's done it, absolutely, dude.
he just
Yeah,
seems like a pretty shy person. I mean, the
well, I mean, that's pretty self-evident.
mask and the mask, but I don't know. He seems like I don't know if we get along with him or not. I'm sure we get annoyed with him in like the first 20 minutes.
I think he's probably pretty meager, and
No, I just think he's TV Chubs calls it Cloud Cuckoo Land, which is basically your brain operates on another plane of existence. So
oh,
I think we
he'd
get
just
annoyed
be
with
all like, he'd be like playing with dolls and shit in the background, that kind of thing.
he'd be the one who like we'd be saying something like, by the way, have I ever told you I'm a space pirate? Have I ever told you I'm a space pirate that eats pizza?
Have I ever told you that?
It's like, do you remember that episode of Middlegate where Jim was high on codeine?
Vaguely, yeah, yeah.
And we'd be talking and he'd interrupt with like, and by the way, rectal feces rape.
Yeah, yeah. Now I remember. Now I remember.
Well, we talking Buckethead's like, by the way, have I ever told you I'm part orangutan?
I like Jim's acid story about controlling the army of ants to invade the planet and take over.
Oh, I love that one.
Under his rule.
I love that one. They're bringing me tribute. Sorry,
they're bringing me tribute.
I was drinking coffee. You can't expect me to drink coffee and talk at the same time.
Yeah. Liquid in the mouth. Okay, you want to hold it in there.
Don't drink and talk at the same time, people.
Just public service announcement.
So yeah, I'm sure Buckethead is very annoying, but in that awesome way that like I just want to know how his brain works.
So I was walking to break at work the other day, and what do I hear? Surrounded by a bunch of televisions on the wall, but a sound that you've come to despise more than anything else in the world of racing.
Oh yeah,
and it was in surround sound, and yeah, I personally I don't mind the sound. I think you just want engine rumble.
I want to know one thing. I want to know how loud they have to turn the cameras up in order to get it to drown out the announcers, because most of the time it drowns out the announcers because it's so damn shrill. And I'm just like, how loud do you have to turn that up?
Very fucking loud.
Yeah, it is.
It's very loud on our side, but
it's not very loud at the track. I don't mind it. I mean, it's okay. It's just, I don't know. It's the racing's actually been pretty good this year.
Yeah, and I don't think that electric motors have reached. There was that moment a few years ago where I was like, "Oh man, this could really change the world." And lately, it's more like, "No, it's not going to."
The thing about Formula E that pisses me off most is the driving talent is absurdly good, and yet they can't avoid crashing into each other every lap. So the racing's actually been pretty good, so I've been sort of keeping an eye on it. But yeah, I prefer internal combustion. Well, the thing about Formula E is most of what you'll hear a lot of the gears and a lot of the brakes and things like that you don't hear on conventional cars. The support race is a Jaguar race with electric motors, and you get to hear the tires as they go into the corners, which is pretty
nice.
Cool. Sort of like on Top Gear, you hear the tires squealing, and so
yeah. On Top Gear, though, you'll hear the tires squeaking no matter what. Like they kind of do that shit post.
Well, that's because it's treaded tires. I mean, treaded tires don't like going around corners like that. That's why, like in F1, you don't hear squeals around.
They're too stuck on the ground. They're too sticky.
Yeah, whereas treaded tires, you'll hear a lot of that. But I don't know. I'm just if Formula E is, it still exists, unfortunately.
It is what it is, man. Like I've noticed something like
I mean, I'll take it over no
in the world of cars. It seems to have reached a definite plateau where they can't produce numbers like they used to. You know what I'm saying? Like
Not
the
really. I mean,
the bleeding edge is starting. It's starting to get harder and harder to increase
that's gonna
numbers.
happen. That's going to happen anyway. I mean,
I know, but that means that we have to wait for the next innovation to come along, and it could be a long time, man.
I saw. I don't know if I told you. I went to the Peterson Museum in December, and I saw an early electric car that was made for women drivers.
Oh my God! Okay, please.
So let me explain. So, in the early days of the automobile, electric cars were seen as women's cars because not because of the battery or anything, but because it was clean. Gasoline cars tended to be grimy and dirty, whereas electric cars tended to be much cleaner. So this car was built. First of all, the roof is very tall. I just realized you can't see my hand signals, but I'm gesturing up to the ceiling. Great job, Elliot. It's radio. Anyway, so the car was built extremely tall because women used to wear those, huge hats.
Yes.
It's built like a fucking tea parlor, and the passenger seats face each other so women can gossip as they tool along at 20 miles an hour. It is so blatantly fucked.
Hey, let's start a racing league with those.
I wouldn't trust that thing going 20 miles an hour. I've seen that thing.
We're racing those things. Whatever that shit is, we're racing them.
That is fucking, I think it was called, oh God, I can't remember what. Yeah, it was fucking terrifying.
So now you have a story to tell fans of electric motors that they are supporting something that was for ladyboys at one point.
God, I wish I remember what the name was. It was like the Columbus carriage or something. The electro carriage.
I also was spoiled by that really cool Chris Harris video about the land speed rocket.
Yeah.
Those things are fucking awesome. Like, it was a really in-depth, from the guy who designed and built it, explanation of every little bit and bob. And it was just like, yeah, of course, obviously, what good does it do to build this machine to do this? And what, it's not about being able to do it myself. It's that somebody fucking did it and this machine exists and it's incredible.
What was I reading about? I was reading. God, I need to Google search here. It was a race car that was street legal, but it had like an alcohol burning engine in it.
Yeah.
I need to find the. I need to find the name of it because it's an awesome name. Okay, so it runs on gasoline when it's on the street, and electric alcohol when it's on the drag strip. It's basically they took an engine from a funny car, an alcohol funny car, and put it in a I think it was like a 50 Chevy wagon. The Shitbox of Doom is what it's called.
The Shitbox of Doom? Hell yeah. It's badass.
The Shitbox of Doom.
That's fucking awesome. That's like Gravedigger. That's epic. Yeah. They need to make t-shirts, man.
There are t-shirts, yes.
I'd wear that fucking t-shirt for sure.
Yes. It's funny because he's Gravedigger, and I knew the monster truck Gravedigger. That was my favorite truck. How can you not love the name?
How can it not be your favorite fucking truck?
And then Gravedigger. I discovered a band called Gravedigger, 2 words, Gravedigger, and I jokingly was like, "Wait, was this band named after the truck or the truck after the band?"
Something that never happened. It still could potentially happen. But anyways, go ahead. Never mind. Go ahead.
It's called the 1915 Detroit Electric Carriage, if you want to look it up. Anyway.
Oh, for the ladies?
Yes.
Okay.
What were you saying?
I'm telling you to just keep going. You have this alcohol car, the
Oh, yeah.
shitbox of doom.
So it was. There's a thing you've probably heard of it called Hot Rod Drag Week, which
Yes.
is it's 7 tracks, it's 7 races, 7,
Looks fucking awesome. Yeah.
and you have to drive your car to the track and all that. So what they do is what they did was Johnny Lindberg, which is a Swedish funny car driver, and someone else, like another professional NHRA driver. Like I said, they took the engine out of the funny car and put it in a Chevy, and the only because obviously they hollowed it all out, so so the only way they could talk is by fucking, when they drive it is by wearing helmets with racing radios attached to it.
Because it's too loud.
Yeah, it is way too loud, but remarkably, it's street legal. So they just switched from gas to alcohol, and goes 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, like the cool thing about muscle cars and modding like that is it's always fresh. Like someone's always coming up with some new fucking twists on it and shit, which is awesome. But on like the higher end stuff, like your Ferraris and Lambos and Koenigsegg's, like innovation takes a lot longer. Like it's more interesting when it happens, in my opinion, than muscle cars, but it doesn't happen nearly as often.
Yes,
because in muscle cars you get all these variations all the time. There's drag week every year, and it's just a different kind of thing.
It was Johnny Lindberg and Richie Crampton, who's a top fuel racer from Australia. He's won a few NHRA races, but and also these are professional drag racers who did this. How when will you see Jimmy Johnson or somebody, as much as I like Jimmy Johnson, when will you see him, professional NASCAR driver, going out to a late model race with the home built stock car?
All those dudes making the big bucks in the big leagues and shit, if they really wanted to, if they were smart, they would all branch out onto social media and do their own shit and do all kinds of awesome, crazy shit with their money. Like, why wouldn't they? That doesn't make sense. Like why more like
well, look at Tony Stewart. He had, even when he raced Cup, he'd go do sprint car racing and midget racing, because that's where he went to get away from the whole, NASCAR pressure cooker, where he went to basically unwind and be with the people he really felt comfortable with.
And then he ran over that kid.
Well, yeah, but that was the kid's fault.
Oh, I know.
He still races. He races like 40-something times a year.
I remember when that fucking shit happened. It happened. I was dealing a card game when that story broke, and everyone at the table was fucking murder. It's like, wait, what the fuck? So I went on break and listened to what happened, and I watched the video. I came back to my table, like, you guys see the video of that? And they're like, yeah, that son of a bitch. It's like, dude, the kid wrecked and then got out of his fucking wreck, which he's not supposed to do. He's supposed to wait for the safety crew. And then he got fucking ran over because Tony Stewart's going 80 miles an hour on dirt. What do you expect to happen?
I remember when the story broke, and I just remember speechless. I just like there wasn't so much blame where I was. It was more just like speechless that could happen. Like, just what the fuck?
Well, that's motorsport though. Like I'll always say, like, motorsport's just fucking deadly game that you're playing. Like,
speaking of motorsport, you were impressed by Fernando Alonso when we watched the Indy 500 years ago. He just won the 24 Hours of Daytona.
Oh, very nice.
And he's doing Indy again this year.
Man, I really should look into tickets. I don't know if it might be too late. But
I don't know, but that's going to be awesome. I wish I was there.
God, I need to go so bad, man.
ABC finally is out of the Indy 500, and I'm so happy.
Who's covering it?
NBC, which is they do all the IndyCar races now.
They have special. NBC has like special networks for all kinds of different shit. Stuff. Yeah,
but I mean, and NBC actually does a really good job with IndyCar racing. So I'm so happy that they're just not going to be ABC.
Even if Indy 500. I think I'd have fun no matter what. Like even if I didn't enjoy the race, which I will. I just need to do. That'd be a fucking great weekend.
Well, I mean, Indy 500 had a reputation for actually not being the best racing, and like, I mean, I think the last, I think the closest finish before 92 was 12 laps to go. The leader crashed. That was like that was the last, that was the latest to pass the lead that was ever made.
I don't know, man. Like, there's been some good ones lately.
No. I'm saying before 92. This was a long time ago. But in its glory days, you'd see 500,000 people pack into the infield, or pack into the speedway to watch Bill Vukovich lead 195 laps, and yet they had a great time because it's more about just, I want to see a bunch of pass, and that's sort of a NASCAR con. So yeah, the Indy, there's been some insane Indy 500s recently.
Yeah, there has. I still think the most impressive performance that I've seen was his name escapes me because I have a shitty ass memory. The rookie when he won.
Yes, Alex Rossi.
Yeah, that was very, very, very impressive.
I honestly did not think he was.
It was a rookie winning like a veteran would. That's what made it so impressive.
And the best part is he ran out of fuel precisely after he crossed the finish line.
It was like almost, yeah, they mentioned that too. Like almost right as he passed the finish line, he ran out of gas.
I was with because
how's that not perfect?
I didn't tell you this when we watched it, but I had seen it live, which you probably figured because I'm me, but I did a good job of hiding it. But I remember we listened to the radio call, and I remember Dad's like, he's done it, he's won, and he's out of fuel.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
that was exciting, man.
Rossi's been, I think he won 3 races last year.
How many races are there in a year?
17.
That's not too bad. I mean, it's not like you're not blowing anybody's doors down or nothing, but that's not bad.
No, he was a contender for the championship until the very last race. I mean, that was awesome.
How many races do champions usually win in a season?
Anywhere between 1 and, I think the record, the record will never be beaten because the record's 41 races. That's
Jesus.
41. The record that can be beaten is 10 races in a year, and the record of modern times is between 6 and 8. But generally, it's about 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, it's so competitive. You're not going to get a guy winning 10 races. You're not going to get a guy winning 8 races. It's so damn competitive. Scott Dixon won the championship, and I believe he won 3 races last year. So it is competitive as hell.
Now that same race, was that the same race that Rossi won with the crazy wreck?
No, that was
the next year. Yeah, when Sato won. Dude, that was a fucking exciting race too, man.
Sato won another race last year at Portland. That was an exciting race, and Sato was so aggressive.
Well, anytime Sato wins, it's going to be exciting.
Like,
because that's his nature. That's how he drives that fucking car.
The problem with Sato is he is a damn inconsistent driver. Like, he'll finish first in one race and then 20th in the next. But when he's on form,
that's kind of what makes him great, though, in my opinion.
Well,
he's a wild card. He's a fucking wild card.
I mean, he'll never be a champion, but when he's on form, he's on form. I mean,
he might not ever be a champion, but he can ruin a champion's day.
He can, and he can, like, he's that was the thing about F1. Like, because he was in F1, I believe he's the only Japanese driver to score a podium. He was really good, but he was so inconsistent that people brought that up.
It seems like he wants to drive like Senna, but doesn't have Senna's skill level.
He wants to drive like Senna, and it doesn't. I don't think he understands the concept of mediation of waiting for. But that's what makes him awesome to watch.
Yeah, it is. What's more impressive, a Rossi win or a Sato win?
Well, Rossi was awesome because he was a rookie and he played that fuel mileage fantastically. I did not see Sato winning. I mean, he almost won in 2012, but decided to try to take the lead in, I believe, turns 1 and 2, which you're not going to do. And he crashed, giving Franchitti the win. So I'd say Rossi, just because it was the first time. Sato had almost won in 2012, but they're both damn impressive. Last year was pretty good as well.
Who won last year?
Will Power.
I don't remember last year's race as much.
Last year's race wasn't quite as exciting, but hey, I like the result. Being a Will Power fan, Will Power has won the championship, and he's great. If when he doesn't crash, he's usually winning. Checkers or records. So yeah, but IndyCar is always fun to watch. I mean, I go to Long Beach every year. This year we're going to do something where we're going to go for the sports car races at Laguna, then stay the week and watch the IndyCar races at Laguna next the week after. It's the season-ending race. So that
you know what I could do for the 500 is take 4 days off, book a hotel, go call ahead of time, and rent out some one of those tracks where you can drive a supercar. If you can just rent it and rent the track out.
Oh yeah, that would be
do that, and then go get some good food and shit. Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to happen. That's something that needs to fucking happen.
What I want to do when we go to Indy's the night before Indy, I want to go see. There's a 500 lap sprint car race over in Anderson. That's awesome.
Shit, I could do that too.
You know what? I'm gonna try to invest in a laptop before September, just so when Laguna Seca happens and IndyCar's practice, I can send you a voice message. Hi, guess where I am? You blew my damn ears out.
Yeah, man. Some of the most I'm not going to be good with the names and everything, but some of the more exciting races I've watched were sprint cars. Like
sprint cars are awesome.
Yeah, I think they're one of my favorites to watch.
Because Johnny Rutherford was talking about he's a 3-time Indy 500 winner, but he got to start in sprint cars, and he remembers racing them in the 60s, and they haven't changed much. But he was talking about they're such light cars, and yet they have so much power. Like you step on the gas and the world ends, basically. Because
those things are crazy, man. Especially when they don't have the wing. God, fuck that. Like, there's no way I would get in that vehicle.
I wouldn't even get in if they had a wing. I wouldn't even get in.
Yeah, good point. Because
I mean, yeah, okay, they're more stable, but you're still
little
talking
darts. You put that wing on there, they're darts all of a sudden.
Well, you put the wing on there, and you can go 180 on the straights. Okay,
yeah.
On pavement at the Toledo Speedway in Toledo, Ohio, wing sprint cars were going 180 on the straights.
Jesus,
that terrifies me.
That is because of the vehicle's design. That is way scarier than being in an Indy car going 180. Way scarier.
I mean, so the thing about the sprint car is, like I said, even with the wing, okay, it's more stable. You still have more horsepower than an F1 car in something that weighs 900 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 1,100 pounds.
That's just fucking
terrifying.
Hold on, don't shit yourself.
Yeah, new pants, please.
Yeah. When you go to a pit stop, just fucking change. It's part of the procedure. Every driver's used to it.
That's yeah, right. So Rutherford was talking about the first time he ever got in a sprint car. He had been racing like midgets and modifieds and late models or whatever. Pretty good cars. He had never even taken a lap at a sprint car before, although he lied and said he had because, why not? So he steps on the gas and, just launches forward. Oh my God. Okay. I have to get used to this. So it's Yeah, I love sprint car racing.
Do you know enough about sprint car racing in general to make some pretty educated betting?
Uh, yes. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say yes. I'm not an expert, but yeah, I know pretty much who's the, who are the
Odds on
favorites.
favorite.
Yeah,
Well, shit. You should tell me what you think, and I'll try. I'll try.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, honestly.
and of course, uh, Rich Vogler was a great sprint car driver
Yeah. Yeah.
and
He was.
midget
I
driver.
watched. I watched his record at Salem get broke. The only time I went. The very first time I went.
It's funny because you described Salem as just a normal track. I'm like, bullshit. With those banks, that's it. That ain't a normal track. Those are some high ass banks. You,
Well, I
you
didn't. I just considered
I
it
know
a
you
small
didn't.
track.
Yeah, but actually, Salem and Winchester have really, really high banks, and sprint cars go really insanely faster at the Salem and Winchester. Uh, there's a debate between pavement and dirt racing, but I like both because both present challenges. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I
with
don't.
with
I wouldn't be really interested in the debate between them. I can entertain a discussion about the differences between them.
with pavement you have more speed, and with dirt obviously you have a changing track. But I find both fascinating.
Fascinating. Hell yes.
I mean, I gladly went to the King of the Wing race at Irwindale. You might remember that, right? That was the we
Yeah.
watched that on. That was a
Yeah.
paved sprint car race. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And
That was
I
fun.
gladly go to Calistoga, which is dirt. Wing, non-wing, paved, unpaved. Just give me some sprints. Give me some sprints.
You know who I want to talk about for a second is the
Uh,
Unabomber.
yes, he's very fascinating.
He is also fascinating.
The thing about the Unabomber is he really did have to suffer for his art. I mean, not everyone is prepared to, you know, live in a cabin in the woods and get madder, madder, madder. So you're mailing bombs to people you've never met because you can't get laid.
Well, that is definitely a part of it that I also felt, and the show that I watched actually explicitly mentioned that about him, about Ted Kaczynski. Theodore. I refuse to call him Ted. It's Theodore. Uh, but what I found fascinating, at least through this television show, I haven't read his manifesto or read any kind of actual case files from the FBI or any fucking thing like that. But there's a certain level of respect that he garnered from people. But and some of his ideas were fascinating.
So unlike
But some of his motives were suspect to me.
I read a book about Timothy McVeigh the other day. The Oklahoma City bomber.
Yeah.
I'm so used to reading serial killer stories about people with IQs of 28 who could barely form complete sentences. Well, I killed them cause I killed
Because
them
I could.
because they're
Because I'm the
dead.
man.
But
Yeah.
Timothy McVeigh was a very erudite, intelligent person. Batshit crazy, but he could artfully explain his beliefs. He could carry. Same thing with Kaczynski. He was a very intelligent person, and
He just got to the point where he felt like no one would listen to him ever, and it hurt his fucking feelings so badly. And I think he went through something very abusive while he was at college.
Oh
I'm not
yes,
sure. I'm not quite sure what. I know what he said about, the fucking CIA and all
what
that
it
shit
was it
fucking with
was
him.
what it was it was a program where they thought it would be an interview, but what it was basically people would come in and rip on them for hours and hours on end. Uh,
Did
they,
that really happen?
yes, yes,
Okay.
that
Okay.
is all
So,
that is all incredibly well documented.
okay.
everything he said happened. I mean, he was a very intelligent person, and he didn't lie. He was, he was a very, he's one of the most candid people I can think of.
Well, in the show, they kind of wanted you to feel some sympathy for him. So when you got to meet Theodore finally, he was alone in his cabin building a bomb. Then he got upset with himself and he put all the bomb making materials into a bag and hung it on a hook on the wall. And earlier he was given a little postcard to come to a birthday party. So instead he built the kid a little toy and went to the birthday party. But once he saw inside, he saw them, being, like I think there might have been another man there or something like that. And he got all like weird about it and left and ran off.
I don't know if this is a documentary or a drama or what.
It's a docudrama.
See, I usually don't do things because I don't know if those are real or not.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked if what I saw actually happened, because like I said, I haven't read all the real shit yet.
I think it's well worth reading because it's like I said,
it's very fascinating.
He was a prodigy. He was very intelligent, and so that's what I find like I said, him and McVeigh, because I read Elliot Rodgers' Manifesto, which was completely idiotic, and reading stories about serial killers and bombers or whatever who could barely speak words. I did it because I ate it and then I died.
And then shut up.
Yeah. just end every sentence. And then
leave me alone. I'm baiting.
It was.
There was an interesting part covering the actual trial, which I'm assuming this happened because everything so far that was in the show you've said it actually happened, but he was working with this defense lawyer who ended up lying to him, and they threw up a criminal insanity defense so that they couldn't punish him too harshly or whatever. And that pissed Theodore off.
Oh yeah, he hated the insanity defense. Same with McVeigh.
But listen, the FBI agent who was responsible for locating Theodore was able to have a meeting with him to point out that if he either pleads insane or allows his defense to let that go forward, that he will always be remembered as a coward and not to be taken seriously because he couldn't stand on his own 2 feet and take responsibility for anything he had said or done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he fired his defense and pled guilty.
Most people other than serial killers despise the insanity plea because it's a cheap shot by defense lawyers to try to get him off. But at the same time, as you said, if he actually believes in something, if he did it for a cause, no matter what, how shady or whatever the cause is, if you do it for a cause, the last thing you want to be known as the guy who pleaded insanity.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even if it's a technicality, that's going to stick in the people's mind is that you're he pled insanity. So
the FBI agent who tracked him down is actually a brilliant dude himself, who was just a regular beat cop, handing out, they made fun of him by saying he was on the graffiti squad, meaning he would have to go clean up the graffiti around town and shit.
Yeah.
But he got good at recognizing speech patterns and shit and being able to identify people through their mail correspondence or emails or anything like that. And he was able to prove that Ted Kaczynski or Theodore Kaczynski had written some of these things and where it came from and the chain of command over the piece of evidence and shit and establishing all that.
See, that frightens me. He He's extremely parenthetical. It must be Elliot.
What do you mean?
I write in a lot of parentheses.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Very,
exactly. Yeah,
I'm a
that's
very
exactly right.
parenthetical. I'm a very parenthetical writer and a very parenthetical talker. With everything I say, there's like 5 or 6 other, you know, oh by
Caveats and
the
shit.
ways,
Caveats and asterisks.
yeah, caveat, asterisk, and oh by the ways. So yeah, I'll have to watch whatever you watched. I'll find it on.
Well, I mean, it's
Well,
probably not going to tell you anything different.
well,
It
no,
might.
I don't know what you're talking about when you talk about various
It's
scenes. That's what I mean. Is that I don't
it's
know.
called Manhunt Unabomber.
Thank you. Yeah, because I couldn't tell you about various scenes because I haven't watched it yet.
So Netflix just released a Ted Bundy tapes thing
Yeah,
just the other day, and people are talking about it. I haven't really looked into Ted Bundy, to be honest with you. Like,
I read his article. He's interesting.
he seems like the boring serial killer to me,
Well,
though.
yeah, he
Like,
didn't really do anything that interesting, but it's worth reading.
man, I think the serial killer that I found most disturbing was fucking. I am just the worst person in the world when it comes to people's names. I'll remember it eventually, but he's that dude from Australia.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah, the dude from Australia.
Who went to, I think, Malaysia or something like that, and like basically became the landlord of a village, a small village over there, and he would lure little kids in and shit and chop them up and and make videos of it and sell it on the dark web and shit like that. That guy.
Well,
That
I don't know. I my the worst, the creepiest one was Fred and Rose West was just the creepiest one. Uh,
who?
Fred and Rose West. I suggest you look them up.
Oh goodness. Okay.
That one's just disturbing.
You know, the dude's crimes, and I'll look up his name. Uh, the dude's crimes were pretty goddamn brutal and all that, but when you really get to see him in an interview and listen to him speak, he's demented. Like there's he whatever part of our brain that favors those kinds of attitudes and thoughts, you know, it's on all the way on this guy. He's bulged out with eyeballs glaring at you like I'm gonna die, like I'm gonna just blah. That kind of fucking evil.
You like that and like Alex Jones and all that. I like people who are completely.
I don't like the fucking guy. I'm saying he's
No, no,
creepy
no.
as fuck.
What I mean is like you. When I say like, I mean you're drawn to the and like you've defended Alex Jones's histrionics in the past as being hilarious. I have always liked the people who like William Cooper will completely straight faced with no emotion tell you that they saw aliens and that Jesus was an alien, or that they will tell you. So, you know,
I like both.
Thursday.
Yeah, I'll defend boisterous, just crazy behavior because it's entertaining,
So
and you can make your points with it.
So Thursday, I woke up. Um, there was a dead body, that I chopped up last night. I fed it to the dog. I went out, killed 5 people, shot them in the face. Fun stuff.
So the man I was talking about, his name is Peter Scully,
All right.
pedophile charged with abduction, human trafficking, rape, torture, murder, and was sentenced to life imprisonment. He is best known for creating and selling the sickening video on the dark web called Daisy's Destruction. In the video, it features the torture and brutal rape of a number of girls, including an 18-month-old infant.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
But like with the Kernes, so after I killed Euronymous, like I've always liked people who talk about things like that, like there's just like it's completely normal for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm fascinated by all types, though. Like
As much as I like, turn the freaking frogs gay. I also like William Cooper.
My favorite part about that is that there is a grain of truth to what he was saying. If you look it up, that's the best. That's what makes that so funny, is because he's saying it in a way like that you should be panicked about it. Like you should be upset that the fucking frogs are gay. And it sounds like bullshit, so you don't believe him. But then when you go to look it up, it's like, oh, so it actually is turning the fucking frogs gay. What the fuck?
Surprised people actually take him seriously.
Yeah, but what he said was true.
I haven't looked that.
Look it up. Go ahead. Look it up. That's what makes it so funny. That's what made that so goddamn hilarious.
What I'm saying is, like, I'm surprised anyone takes him seriously because of his histrionics. He's sort of like,
it takes a certain type.
Even if he was saying something that's absolutely true, 407 years ago, our fathers created a nation.
Well, to be fair, wasn't that somebody else's quote?
We hold these truths to be freaking self-evident.
I like when he gets on full on, I'm gonna find the Illuminati and strangle them.
Oh, come on. No, come on.
Those are the greatest ones. I will not let you defeat me. I will get you.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Ask not what your goddamn country can do for you, you freaking gay frogs.
You gay fucking frogs.
Take famous history quotes and do them in the style of Alex Jones.
Shit, he could do that and make his own, like,
and see if you could take any of those speeches seriously. This is what I'm saying. Or
I don't know, man. I think it just takes different types of people to, like, first of all, it's entertaining to listen to because it's more interesting than some doldrum fucking lecture,
But see, the thing about those lectures, right, is when it's something utterly insane, it's awesome. When it's William Cooper talking in an unemotional way about how the driver shot Kennedy and aliens told him this. The fact that he actually says this in a way that makes, oh my God, he actually believes it. Whereas Alex Jones is, is he just trolling the audience with
Alex Jones? If you listen to him among like friends, like when he was on Rogan's podcast, and they have their disagreements.
Yeah.
But when he was just chilling, he gets a little bit hyped up and stuff, but he makes sure everyone knows, like, look, guys, I'm just going to turn it up and not just to have some fun or whatever,
But when he's with someone else, he goes completely like ape shit.
Well, I think it's just on purpose. I think he's just doing it because it's the only way he can get people to listen. And when he does it, it usually has social consequences. Like when he screamed at Piers Morgan that 1776 was just around the corner, that changed things. That was a watershed moment in our country's history on the media. Anyways, it was the first time somebody had walked up to a mainstream media agent and screamed in their face and said, "You better back the fuck off." That hadn't happened before that in a long time.
Although William Cooper did call Alex Jones an alarmist. I love the fact that he criticized everyone.
No, I mean, Alex definitely has his flaws. I'm not going to say that dude's perfect. He seems like a fucking prick, to be honest with you.
But the thing about Alex,
I can still listen to him.
He doesn't have that vibe that I like in conspiracy theories, and that's the late night horror vibe. That's the,
I don't know if I ever introduced you to this. Do you know who Freeman Fly is?
I've heard the name.
Okay.
Like,
he's more a hippie. He's more of a hippie. Okay. But he'll say things like, "Yes, my name is Freeman, and my father was a 33rd degree Freemason who traveled the world escorting aliens around the world."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's that dude's crazy, and he makes interesting content. He's got good taste in like kind of like sleazy blues rock metal ish. Like,
but see, the thing about William Cooper is he had that horror movie vibe. Listen to him talking at 2:30 in the morning with the window open,
oh yeah, I mean,
and
I
you
used to
will
do the same thing.
Coast to Coast AM, same thing. Alex doesn't have that vibe. He doesn't have that.
You
He doesn't
know,
have that.
dude, one thing I seriously miss about working swing shift was turning on AM radio on my way home from work and listening to fucking George Norrie.
I found
Fucking A.
I found Coast to Coast. Actually, we were going back home from a race, and it was on Sirius XM. We listened to a guy who thought he was Bigfoot.
I love George Norrie because he's so good at entertaining the person and getting them to open up.
Art
say
Bell
what
was good too.
to like you can like literally hear George Norrie winking at the camera at you. But he's getting the guy to like, no, talk about it. That's interesting. Oh, that's really wow, man, that's amazing. Yeah, and then Bigfoot led us onto a UFO ship and we flew off into the moon.
The thing about Art Bell, though, is as Joe Rogan mentioned in the interview with Tom DeLonge, you showed it to me. Anyway, what he said in the beginning was,
"Oh God, okay, yeah, now I remember what you're talking about."
If you listen to Art Bell, he never called anyone out like, I believe I'm a werewolf. Oh my, there was never like, what, you believe you're like. He was
Norrie doesn't do that either, though.
No, yeah, I know, but that's what I love about it. But yes, Tom DeLonge.
That was epic, dude. Like I was okay. That was, I remember watching that. I went through a couple different phases with it. Like there were some moments where I found myself willing to suspend my disbelief and get excited, but then this other part would come back like, no, I can't take Blink 182 seriously over here. Like I refuse. I cannot let that motherfucker be the dude who introduces aliens. No, that's not going to happen. And fuck that guy.
That's why we need that's why we need some of the more alien infused death metal bands to come forward and start talking about their beliefs.
I never even really thought about that. Like death metal about aliens, death aliens.
Yeah, there's plenty. Worms, Nocturnus, Sarcolytic.
That's awesome. I never really even thought about it.
There's plenty of. I mean, it's
perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect is what that is.
There's a lot of death metal about space and aliens and science fiction. Yeah, it's a little bit more obscure than the Deathcore Satan Kill Die Death. Deathcore Satan Kill Die Death.
End. That's the song. That's the album. Cut.
Yes, but
you've got to kill, rape, pillage, and burn. You got to kill, rape, pillage, and burn.
It exists. Yes.
You've got to rape, kill, pillage, and burn.
Yes, rape, kill, pillage, burn. Rinse, repeat. Copy and paste.
Copy paste.
I'm still stuck at famous speeches done in the style of Alex Jones.
Alex Jones could do a death metal band if he was surrounded by the right people.
Yeah, well, he apparently likes metal. He's besties with Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, I don't see him working well with that style of metal.
And John from Iced Earth, which I don't see him working well with. John from Iced Earth did a power metal album called The Sons of Liberty.
Dude, what the fuck would your reaction be if when you woke up tomorrow you saw a promo with Alex Jones all fucking death metal looking, like legit death metal, like fucking get up, and he releases a fucking death metal album?
I mean, his conspiracy theories would work perfect. Like pathology works.
His voice would work perfect, man.
But
like,
conspiracy theories actually work really well with death metal. Like Pathology releases a bunch of albums about the Illuminati and things like that.
Anything that's about cloak and dagger demons and how it's about power in the world is always good shit. I love that kind of shit.
My favorite Christian metal band actually doesn't sing about the Old Testament, sadly. But my favorite Christian metal band is basically, I will punch you in the face for Jesus.
They're just kind of, I mean,
literally, it's called Vengeance Rising, and literally the tone of the albums is, if you don't convert, I will curb stomp you.
Dude, if you want to see some funny shit, you need to look up some Black Israelite videos.
Oh yeah, because so many Christian metal bands are about like disproving atheism or about peace and love and all that, destroying evil, but they're just like, I'll punch you, evil.
Evil, listen, I will totally kick your ass if you don't stop it right now.
I will rip your throat out if you don't convert. I mean, I love that. Just be forceful. The guy later became an atheist, but hey. That was a huge shock in the Christian metal community when the guy they became an atheist and I believe later a Satanist. But that was a huge shock in the Christian community the Christian metal community. This band was too evil for Christians because they were incredibly violent and gory. So like,
if you think about it, it seems to me like early Christians before it got into Europe and all that shit weren't like very warlike at all and would get their ass kicked easily. It wasn't until the Europeans got it.
Well, yeah, but it was funny because I was listening to people talking about how their mothers who let them buy Quiet Riot or Striper, CDs.
Striper, fucking Striper.
Whenever they saw, Vengeance Rising, they would burn this. They would burn the shirts claiming they were satanic.
Hey, don't you fucking mess with Striper, dude.
Striper sucks. I tried with Striper. I would have hoped they would have modernized, some of the other glam bands.
Hey, here's my opinion on Striper. I find them utterly ridiculous. Just as soon as I look at them, as soon as I lay eyes on them, I'm already laughing.
You know what?
However, there are a few songs with that kind of catchy pop metal feel that they do. They nail it. It's not necessarily my thing, but they nail it.
It truly frightens me that they put out more than 10 albums. Like,
they are weird, dude. Like, at least they actually stand up for what they believe in, from what I remember hearing about them in their personal lives.
Yeah.
But still, they're goofy. Like,
they just, I always get such a weird vibe about not so much Christians who are metalheads like Tom or Rob Halford or whatever, but I always get such a weird vibe out of Christian metal, overtly Christian metalheads. I always get they may make good music, but I always just get such a.
Do you feel like maybe they're trying to make metal good and change it?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think so, and other times I think maybe they really are. Like, Vengeance Rising really does sound like they like thrash metal and just are Christians. Like, the lyrics sound like they're trying to change metal, but their music says that Incubus, not that Incubus.
Oh God, dude.
There's a Christian metal band called Incubus, and
it would. Okay, let me. There needs to be like an animated video or something where that band Incubus, absolutely gets raped and killed and murdered by the other Incubus.
There's actually 3 Incubi. One of them is a Christian band. The other is very anti-religious, who released a single demo called "God Died on His Knees."
Why would a Christian metal band be called Incubus?
I can't say the title I have God died on his knees. I can't say it normally, I don't know why a Christian metal band would be called Incubus. They later had to change their name because of the Californian band. Anyway, my point, I actually
Go back to your point.
yes, pointy head. My point was, I knew this guy Tristan actually, who said that he refuses to listen to Christian metal because he's not a Christian. If you refuse to listen to the first Incubus album, you are a poser. Because it is straight up evil sound. It is the most evil sounding Christian metal band I've ever heard. Like, forget what the lyrics are about. The music is 80s death metal. Just
Sweet.
straight up evil sounding metal. So it's like, there are some bands who I believe really do feel, like
yeah, dude. I don't give a fuck what someone believes. Like, I might later, but when someone's made something like artistically or whatever, and they're trying to present it to me and say I'm just a customer going through fucking albums at a fucking store.
No, I don't care about.
I don't give a fuck about. Like, I want to see something I'm interested in and that captures my imagination and shit.
The new Dark Fury album, which is an NSPM band, is actually quite good. However, the members of the band are, complete morons, but hey.
Yeah, like, I might want to dig in and find out who the people are, or I might not. Like, most of the time, not.
There's a Christian band called Deliverance who's released a couple decent albums, but they were never very good. Their lead singer has the least metal name ever.
Okay.
Jimmy P. Brown III.
Okay, he should be in a fucking progressive jazz band or something.
Yeah, that is literally the least metal name. Yeah, that is literally like that name says, "Don't beat me up, please."
James Q. Pisswater.
Oh yeah, right. It's just
James Q. Pissy Pants over here.
Jimmy P. Brown III. He's also
sounds like a fucking like black nationalist or something.
Sounds like a character from fucking Peanuts.
Sounds like a dude from the Roaring Twenties.
It does, doesn't it? Presenting Jimmy P. Brown III, Esquire.
He's quite the pugilist.
He's quite the pugilist. Oh, I missed that word. Nobody ever says pugilist anymore.
I did. I said it. I win.
Remember when newspaper articles were like had a shitload of verbiage?
No, because
you weren't born then.
No.
Well, me neither. But I read some old ones, and they're awesome.
Yeah, I need to read more often. I've been putting puzzles together lately.
You can read?
Sometimes. If I focus real hard.
Look at these squiggly lines.
Hold.
I think these squiggly lines are meant to be
representations of things that mean other stuff.
Devil scratchings.
I think these squiggly lines are supposed to mean things and stuff, among other things.
Devil scratchings.
Devil.
Devil scratchings.
I'm one of those retards that end up in horror movies who, upon seeing letters in the written language, unleashes hell because he's so demented.
Yes.
Oh, letters! Demons!
Actually, the letters spell...
The letters spell demons!
Actually, they spell like fish, but hey.
Oh, man.
Fish demons.
Just, how's your day going? Demons, man. Crawling out of the walls.
Fish demons. Half fish, half demon. It breathes out fire and water at the same time.
Meaning it could set your entire village on fire and then put it out immediately afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredibly convenient.
Your people's extinction will be very, very quick and convenient.
And then we can save some of the buildings and inhabit them later.
And we'll turn the buildings into aquariums.
for more fish demons. Fish demons.
Have you looked up Hampshire yet?
What's that?
Hampture.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Dude, it will fuck with your head. It's in the same vein as Time Cube. It's in the same kind of fucking thing. It's so crazy, dude.
I look at. I remember. Okay, so I discovered Time Cube, and I showed Jim Time Cube mid show many moons ago,
And he's still fascinated with it.
with his ex-girlfriend as part of the cast, although they were dating at the time, obviously. And I was treated to 2.5 hours of him reciting Time Cube.
It's amazing.
It was awesome. His ex didn't seem to think it was as awesome, largely because she was in the same room as he was.
Probably because it made her very uncomfortable.
I mean, if you were in the same room as someone, just
Jim has made me quite uncomfortable a few times.
he's
Not
really
that- Not that I want to flee from him, because I find him fascinating and think he's a cool
disagree
dude.
on things and stuff, but he's gotten less evil over time.
Yeah, because that dude straight up, yeah, he used to just tell you.
Well, his voice, he's still the same, but his voice has gotten less evil. I think he's just his microphone, though.
Dude, I remember running into him being like, holy shit, like I saw some of his videos where he was like drunk playing with fucking wrestling, like knockoff wrestling figures.
Yes.
Laughing my fucking ass off. This is what this dude does to relieve stress and get shit off his chest. It's like, oh my God, Jim.
Well, hey, why not? I have my diecast car collection.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do silly shit like that all the time too. I just thought it was great,
Well, yeah.
And we both wanted to yell at the same people at the same time.
He didn't strike me as someone who did that until I got to know him a little bit more, though. Like, because when you first get to know him, you think he eats babies for breakfast.
Yeah.
And he is like when you first get to know, like I pictured him like in like a torch lit chamber with like skulls on the wall.
He is kind of like that, though, like.
Oh yeah. He gets into and that's why he's
the thing about meeting people on the internet is you'll never get to know the person in their everyday life. So, it's only kind of polite not to, not put like, I don't want to say like, I know you, I know everything,
The sad
what I'm trying to say?
The sad part is you pretty much do. And now I'm depressed. Thank you. I'm going to go drink 20 cups of coffee. Gob, gob, gob. No, I get what you mean. Although, like I said, you pretty much do, unfortunately. But then again, you've known me for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
So, so the thing is, also when you first get to know, when you first get to talk to someone, you don't, he was the man of few words for the first couple episodes. If you remember the first Metal Gate one, he would, because he was really tired, so he just sort of zone out and then zone in with something, I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I have to meet him. I have to talk.
Yeah, man. That was a lot. That was definitely a lot of fucking fun back then, man.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I remember, I joined because Mason said it was called Metal Gate. And I was like, metal. And
something someone had said to me early on was, don't go in thinking you're actually going to change anything.
No, obviously.
And that was probably the best advice I'd gotten from anybody.
Hmm. I mean, by all
Yeah.
means, try, but always remember
Well,
that.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some fucking actual metalhead either. Like I listen to it now. Uh, I have friends now who are metalheads and shit like that. But
I went into
I,
Metalgate.
my whole thing though is still just those kinds of people that need to get yelled at on the internet.
I
Those
went.
kinds of people who just need to be told to back off and quit being fucking gay.
I went into Metalgate wondering if it was. I know this is sort of a snobbish thing to say, but you know how it is sometimes. I went into Metalgate wondering if there were people who knew about metal, or whether it was going to be, Poser Fest 2015, and I found a little bit of both. But I was frankly glad that you said that you didn't know much about metal, because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's someone who doesn't know anything about metal who thinks he does. Like, I will freely admit that I know a lot about metal, and that's not just me bragging. You know the research I've done. You know that that's my life pretty much.
Yeah.
I think I've earned the right to say that I know a lot about metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if not, then
my purpose in that whole thing was just someone to yell back at those fucking people who were trying to ruin the party for everybody.
But it pissed me off when people like Mason or people like that would say,
Because I recognized a threat to metal from the same crowd of people who try to ruin video games, the same crowd of people who've throughout the years
yeah,
tried to ruin everything fun. And I just wanted to get ahead of the curve because I didn't hear any metal people really talking about it until that article came out. And then I talked to Shane Mathis, and I just tried to be reasonable with the guy, and he just refused to see any kind of reason or logic. So I called him a faggot and ran away. Like my goal was to galvanize people, and it did to a degree. I think a little bit. It didn't turn into anything.
well, what
I think another pivotal point is when I just walked away, when I just handed it over.
well, there's a couple of points I want to make here. So anyway, it pisses me off when people claim they know, like Mason claimed to be Mr. Metal Pants, but would say inaccurate things.
Hey, Mr. Metal Pants.
And it annoyed me. So when I went into Metalgate, I had no idea what the hell. I think I was in that group, but it never appeared on my Facebook feed, so I just never looked into it. But I didn't know anything about what you guys were like. I had to do some very quick and fast learning because I didn't know that this was anything except for a group about metal. So I went in not knowing anything except for it was called metal. Okay, so the thing about Metalgate, what happened was I said in episode 10 to be sure not to be taken in by people with ulterior motives, people who will use Metalgate as, let's say, cover for being Nazis, you know, and spreading their, you know, by
As a way to avoid criticism of any kind, you mean?
as a way to avoid criticism or recruit people. I mean, I'm always saying I'm not pro Nazi. I'm pro having them expressing themselves and then, you know, wiping the floor with them verbally rather than and making them look like morons.
That's something that needs to be done. By the way, you should try to reach out to people in the metal community who are actually a part of productions going on and shit.
Yeah,
and find out the internal disagreements that are going on, like the politics in whatever you're into. Get those people to air out their grievances at one another so that shit can actually get fucking worked out and the right people go in the right places.
The problem with the Metalgate group was it quickly descended into infighting. Because
about what the message was actually about.
Not just that, but you had people who they would rather troll that Mercure girl than actually fight metal sucks. Which, okay, I get. She was promoted as the next biggest thing in black metal by Relapse Records, and her music wasn't horrible. I mean, looking back on it, it wasn't amazing, but it's listenable, and her new album's actually pretty damn good.
You know, the reason I promoted that was I had realized back then that it's not that I'm offended that women have the freedom to speak or represent themselves in media how they want to do it, but when it's like, it's the same way, like if I see a Christian piece of media or something where they're trying to sell their ideas to me, sometimes I hear arrogance and just unreasonable demands. And
That wasn't the problem, though. The problem was people would rather just attack her rather than finding out, like, anorexic black metal. And I was like, what? So, what are you actually accomplishing by doing this? You're just doing what Metal Sucks does, but the other side, the other side.
of course,
The same. That's why I grew disillusioned with Death Metal Underground, because I saw it as basically the right wing Metal Sucks.
yeah, but that's politics, man. I mean,
well, that's the thing. I wanted DMU to be extreme, just to hold the politics. Like, I like their criticism of metal, even though I didn't agree with most of it. And then they would, you're a cuck communist. I was like, really?
well, you have to understand though that I think that there really was a strong left wing bias in a lot of media platforms up and down the fucking list for a long time, okay. And the internet has allowed conservatives to do their own production now.
But wouldn't the smart thing to be, rather than to ad hominem the hell out of them, to reason?
Okay, but that's just politics, and we all participate in that kind of shit, whether we like it or not. We all have our own fucking way of approaching people and getting along in the world.
People left Metalgate because, and this wasn't your fault. Okay, I'm not blaming you for this. People left because it got very infighting. Like, I remember that Juan Salmoron guy with Metal Blast. He left a while ago. Also, you had things to do. That also, and it's not your fault or anything. It's just that's life. Fucking, does that to you. So you left, and although Swine Brothers is basically still carrying on the fight. I mean, we still make, Metal Sucks is still a target. Every time I want to just leave them alone, they keep making themselves even stupider.
Well, that's why I kind of approve of amping your message up every now and then, to make sure those idiots who are going to bumble off and do something else retarded, you got to remind those dudes that people see through their stupid shit too.
I sort of saw Swine Brothers, whenever Metalgate stopped sort of happening, as sort of carrying on the torch in a way. I mean,
that's exactly what I meant to do. That's exactly what I sought out to do in the first place.
It's basically the same people, just including me. I mean, you don't join as much as you used to, but
and all that infighting was by design too, because in my opinion, the people with the strongest arguments should be allowed to air their grievances with one another, and whoever proves themselves will emerge.
Yeah, and
that was you guys. So
I support that, and I like, but a lot of people's problem was it got very petty.
Yeah, but dude, that's any kind of social shit like that.
I'm not saying that because I personally liked the group. I thought it was hilarious, but that's why some people left, was because they thought that we weren't really fighting against anything. We were, arguing amongst ourselves, sort of like what I mean. People complain about punk rock. Why punk rock never solved anything was because they were too busy arguing whether Reagan Youth was more punk or hardcore.
Another problem looking back is it was a hyper idealistic version of freedom of speech kind of platform, kind of idea, and that's fine, but I didn't get a chance to you know, plan out videos and really explain positions and shit like that. I didn't get a chance to like really produce quality shit. So,
not to mention when you would like randomly freak out about things.
dude, I will say when you're dealing with a bunch of different people with a bunch of different perspectives, all who care about the fucking subject matter, shit gets fucking stressful, dude.
One of my favorite things, you had an argument, Jim Reddit just went, wow, you could not be more wrong.
What was it again?
You had an argument with a woman about something, and Jim Reddit, he was just like, wow, you could not be more wrong. I laughed so fucking hard.
I don't even remember what that was.
I don't really.
I think it was about.
It was about album covers like that.
A hair metal band had allowed a 16-year-old girl to pose nude for one of their album covers. Is that correct?
Well, not hair metal. The Scorpions are hard rock.
I'm just
and it was like
the genre.
12 or 13. She was basically saying that she didn't like that because it sort of sexualized kids or whatever, which I sort of, you know, everyone thinks that album covers in bad taste, including the band these days.
Well, that was a discussion where I think I really learned that the really super duper altruistic, hyper idealized version of free speech can't really be defended completely because of different circumstances and things that happen in the world.
You've got to, even when I say, you know, there are no morals, even I have morals, although very, you know, about things like that. I mean, I don't always have, you know, the moral society imposes when it comes to things like, you know, murder, but murder, fun. But, you know, there always needs to be limits drawn. I mean, whether you like it or not, you can't.
A line is going to get drawn whether you like it or not. That's what it is.
And that's something that everyone has to learn. I learned that lesson, and you learned it, and we all, you know, and
don't cross the crooked step.
And that's
it.
So that's the thing, is like you and I, although from opposite sides of the political spectrum, both had very altruistic ideas at one point in time. And
they get melted away rather quickly when you really get involved with social media and shit.
And when you get really involved with talking to different people of different beliefs and or just looking at how the world works.
Yeah, exactly.
They do get melted away rather quickly. And, you know, I still have my beliefs, but yeah, they're a little bit tamer than they used to be. And I still believe in freedom of speech. But like I said, I think the Scorpions, because it was supposed to show.
Well, they broke a law. Okay.
Okay. The album
by doing
cover,
it.
The album cover was supposed to show, you know, the youth and innocence, because it was called Virgin Killers, and it's not about what you think, you know, sacrificing virgin. It was supposed to show youth and innocence and how time will you know, kill all that youth and innocence. The way they did it though was quite tasteless. The way they did it was tasteless, and it didn't reflect, because all they saw was the naked, or not, you know, almost naked girl of quite young age. So regardless of what point they were trying to make, all people saw was the shock value.
Yeah. Plus, I can't be convinced that they didn't go for that shock value right out of the gate because of the title of the album being called Virgin Killers. And the innuendo there is just too rife to believe.
I'm sure they did, and now they're just. But I mean, you know, there are ways you could have tastefully done that. You could have done, like, you know, let's say you know, a young girl, although clothed, and then, you know, show a clock, and then an old lady or whatever.
Whatever you got to do to avoid being pure schlock.
To avoid being pure schlock and actually have people get the point of what you were trying to say. Although, like I said, the band, you know, pretty much regrets it now. So, but yeah, that was the thing. There have to be, you know, limits set whether you like it or not. I mean, you know,
I do have to say though, I also like standing back up for the freedom of speech argument. Yes, it has its limits, but those limits require laws to be broken. You know what I'm trying to say? Like they broke laws to try to get a message across. You can't do that. You can't fucking
It's interesting that I have no real
you can't you can't bring harm to people
It's interesting that because I have
just to say what you want.
I have no real problem with like the mentors singing about things like that, because the mentors were a joke band. They were meant to be schlocky, and there were no pictures of of underage girls or whatever. But they sang songs about it, and it was hilarious. Everyone had a good time, got drunk, and sang songs that they would never act out in real life. But
Yeah.
it's different when there's an actual model and a picture there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's
No one's actually getting hurt.
no, except for maybe your eardrums, because the mentors were very loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's actually getting hurt, and everyone's just having a good time and getting drunk. So, but yeah, like I said, they're all. I mean, when I say normal morals, of course, I'm against pedophilia and rape and things like that. But when it comes to like, I don't believe in say open container laws. Fuck that shit. That's stupid.
Yeah, it is kind of silly.
I prostitution should be legal.
Probably be better off if it was
It,
for a
it,
myriad of reasons, to be honest.
everyone would be better. Yes. So I mean, so I'm against things like this. So that's what I mean by morality. I don't believe in morality police, but of course there have to be lines and limits drawn. Life is all about compromise.
Really is, man.
I mean, that's the thing that Vikernes doesn't understand. That's the thing that Varg doesn't understand. He wants life to be completely, neo-pagan, blah, blah, blah. Lords of Chaos even quite rightly said, one wonders if his beliefs have gone the way of an art project because they're way too radical to feasibly work. That's sort of how I feel about some of the freedom of speech people. Is like, wait, is this an art project or real life?
Free speech is something that I think it's important to go through that altruistic stage because it makes you realize that it's not perfect, but it is an important aspect of life on this planet. Is allowing other people to speak their minds, even shit that makes you really uncomfortable.
Well, of course, I believe in freedom of speech, and I believe in the right to be offended. But I also believe in, part of freedom of speech is the freedom to tell someone that that's just not right, and that's not.
Well, there's the gay ones where because there was like maybe a music video where somebody gets stabbed in the chest, but it's just special effects. Nobody gets hurt. Yet there's some moral crusade out there, like saying it's going to cause all kinds of, just serial killers once a day, every day,
One of my exes actually pointed out that made me think was, if you're insulting these people based on freedom of speech, don't they have freedom of speech to say these things? And I had never really thought about that before, and that actually made me stop and go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That made the wheels stop for a minute, because
you have to approach it like this. You have to concede their freedom to say it and defeat them in whatever kind of social power you might get from the discussion you're having, especially if it's in public.
I remember on Metal Gate, people would get really pissed when a festival would drop a band, or a band would back out of playing with another band, which I can understand. I can understand getting pissed. But the way they got pissed suggested that they should be forced to have that band on the festival, or that band should be forced to play with the band they don't want to play with. And I made the point that, look, if the festival doesn't want to have this band, they don't have to have it. They can kick them off for any reason. It could be political. It could be because they like the wrong energy drink.
Let's think about what would happen if everyone was forced to let other people say whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted.
Yeah.
Just imagine. Just imagine if there was cops sitting around like, you not letting that guy say something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
actually I am. Then you get your ass kicked and go jail.
Things would be, yeah. So it got ridiculous, but and I did make a lot of good friends thanks to that group though.
You know, it's the only difference who gets their ass kicked. Because like the way we have it now, the people who try to, speak freely, freedom riders, okay, they get booed out of places and they often get their asses kicked. But if they had cops to protect them, the people who now kick people out and kick people's asses would be getting their asses kicked.
Yep.
So either way, it's gay. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And there are special things. A musician who we both know, who will go unnamed because I don't know if I could name this musician, said that I should make a post because as a critic I can say things that as a musician maybe they can't say, or maybe they feel a little bit uncomfortable saying, and we agreed on it. So I said what I said, and I suppose that's the job of, say, the critic or the commentator, is to say things that maybe people feel they can't say, or I mean, I have nothing to lose with what I do. I mean, what the hell am I going to lose?
Maybe you piss somebody off, but who cares?
Okay, yeah, I piss somebody off, and what they tell my employer on me.
Yeah,
They
which is
they
good for you.
what
Yeah.
they they're going to tell my dog to bite me or what?
They're gonna brainwash your dog through Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's they or if I mean the only upsetting one was when they tried to dox Joe's, who I was dating at the time, because I pissed them off. That was sort of the only upsetting thing, but I quickly shut them up. Um, so that was the only sort of but really I don't have much to
Aren't
lose.
aren't things in our society going in a totally alien direction? Like like you were just saying, the person you love was being doxxed, which
Because
probably drove a wedge, which probably caused all other kinds of drama to happen.
no, she actually didn't know about it. Thank fuck.
Okay,
I was able to stamp it out very quickly once I saw what they were doing, and they
that's
didn't
good.
get very far. So, but the thing is that someone who was a completely innocent victim was being victimized by something
And
that
dude, that is something. I'm like that is a weapon, man. That
well,
that
yeah.
that like sometimes it's used for good though. Like that whole Andy Warski Tonka Saw fight that didn't happen because one of them pussed out.
Well,
I don't,
yeah, but
did you hear about all that?
no, I mean, I don't really. You like
Well,
the
it's interesting. It's
stuff.
interesting because the guy who pussed out and backed out, he's been shown to be like basically a two-bit criminal, like a con artist. But
Yeah,
he's an internet tough guy, so he's always like, "I'll beat your fucking ass," I'm
yeah.
a gangster motherfucker, kick your fucking yeah, constantly. If you disagree with him even a little bit, he gets fired up real quick and starts screaming. It's hilarious. But he's been he went from having the top commentary live stream on YouTube to now he gets lucky to get 90 viewers.
So he was gonna fight someone, and then he pussied out.
Yeah. Someone finally was like, "All right, motherfucker, you want to fight? You want to try to ruin my life? Fuck you! Let's go fight, motherfucker." Andy's a funny dude. I think
But I mean,
he's adult. He's a bumbling idiot, but he's great. Like I just love the guy. He's great.
it's sort of, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say the word frightens a little bit, but it does sort of frighten me that people can be doxxed and things like that.
Yeah, it's a totally different way of people communicating and getting along in the world. It's like we have like cybercrime and shit like that now, police and shit like that. But still,
and it's paranoia fuel. You always wonder if something you said.
And hey, it's legitimate paranoia too, because who knows who the fuck get a hold of you,
right?
Very easily right now,
But the thing is, I really don't have much to lose, so I can go all in. Maybe if I find if I find love in a family, maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. But as of right
all
now,
that shit changes everything.
But I don't think I will back down all that much because I'm not that person to back down.
Well, you get used to you get used to making the same points you were making when you were more passionate. Without sounding so crazy.
Someone described me as if I ever had an illness, I'd be too damn stubborn to die. Fuck you, death.
Fuck you, death. Death stabs you. Is that all you got, pussy?
That's all you got? Well, actually, yeah.
Fuck and then he stabs you again and you say, I ain't got all day, death. You gonna do this or not?
So that's the thing. I mean, so at this point, I can go all in. I mean, and let's be honest here. I've already alienated myself from, like, even if I stopped right now and faked a religious conversion and, tattooed, Sargon for sainthood on my forehead, I'm still going down. There's people who are never going to forgive me. So I'm already fucked, basically. I've once, I don't want to sound like a martyr here, but I've taken a path that has pretty much put me at odds with this society and how people think. And it's not always fun, and it's not always something. You have to be hardcore and able to deal with isolation, basically. And you have to be ready to deal with the fact that you probably won't have very many friends.
Yeah, I was just talking with an actual friend of mine about that. Like, me half kind of trying to not really apologize, but just try to let him know, like I know, like, the way I talk and think about things, and it can lead to, some pretty depressing kind of ideas and stuff like that. And I don't mean to be like hurting my friends and shit, but it's not like me trying to manipulate you or anything. It's like, it's just how I actually think about things.
I have friends that understand me. I have a group of friends who understand, who I could say things, and I have some acquaintances, but being me, being basically someone who is very outspoken and someone who has views that are, in some cases, contradictory to society, you need to be willing to, as you said, you will lose friends, you will lose opportunities in life, but if you know why you're doing it, and if that's the only thing you know how to be, then do it. But I get really uncomfortable when I'm called, like, the voice of the voiceless and all that shit, because I don't want the responsibility of knowing that I've made someone's life actively miserable because they were following in my footsteps. Because not everyone wants to. Not everyone can do it. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, but you know what, though, Elliot? Someone who's young and gullible and maybe going through that phase in their life, that's a lesson they just haven't learned yet.
True. I mean, I'm not trying to make it like doom and gloom. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy ranting. I enjoy doing the shows. I'm just saying, I'm sane enough to realize that most people would be constantly miserable if they had to do, and the isolation that comes with it. Most people would be, but I love it. I mean,
I saw a quote today from Nietzsche, I think it was from. It's basically said that he valued his solitude so much so that it made it hard for him to accept people into his solitude because he had to be thoroughly, basically entertained by the person. Like, had to be fascinated with them.
I
had
don't
to make it worth his while.
I don't like talking to people who are
vapid.
I mean, conversations with my family is amazing because they don't say anything. I was listening to my sister talk. How do you spend 25 minutes telling a story without making a single point? Or
where they just skip around to multiple different points to see which one will stick?
No, it's a story, and I'm listening to it, and I hear noises coming out of the mouth, but I don't hear any actual facts and words. Just sort of blah 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah,
You know,
blah,
how do you talk for so long without actually making any interesting points? So that's I am a little bit like that, and I would rather, if it comes to that, I would rather make friends online than have to sit with boring people in person.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. So, I just don't get it online very often to do any kind of streaming or anything anymore. Like tonight's a one-off, and honestly, I would say that this is a pretty good episode, man.
This is a fun episode. I like it. We actually touched on some deep subjects.
Yeah, and some lights. I mean, we covered a lot of shit.
Well, some nights are like
metal, racing. That's typical.
Racing's fun, and then some nights we talk about like psychology and
the dark arts.
Yes. The dog arts? What?
We talked about the dark arts, and we're about to take over the world.
Oh yes, the dark arts. But can we combine that with the dog arts?
The
art of dogs.
The art of dogs. Dark arts of dogs.
The dark arts of dogs. Yeah. So the thing is, like I said, I'm this life isn't for everyone.
Dark art of dogs.
The dark art of wolf of death. Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ! What were you saying before I fucking started laughing?
But like I said, the life isn't for everyone. But if you think
it's not even for the people who actually want to do it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I went through a bit of an identity crisis.
Is what it is.
I went through an identity crisis for about 2 years because this is going to sound really lame, and I understand how lame this sounds, okay? But I'm going to be honest. I was trying, because I finally had the need to find a companion and actually sort of like maybe find a girl and,
see what happens.
See what happens. But I didn't know if I didn't even know if I was capable of love. And I was like, well, if I find a girl, well, I have to go completely, straight, which does not mean the opposite. Straight obviously means, from the path that I'm on. So I went through a long way of trying to go normal and seeing, like, do I have to go normal to find a girl and all that. And I've been able to balance the two quite well. I mean, I could spell vicious invective over here and then talk all romantic in words that would make you fucking vomit. But it was a weird identity crisis thing because I wondered if my personality would draw people away, and then I realized I wanted the personality to draw people away because I would rather weed out the people I'm incompatible with straight away rather than live a lie.
You're reminding me of some of my own things going on in my life. And I actually saw a really entertaining television show recently, which touches on some of the things I'm going through, called Happy. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's about a former police officer who saw one too many awful, horrendous crimes, and it drove him insane. And he went on an alcoholic drug bender, vigilantism, going after like the most violent criminals, like kind of like a hitman, but
yeah,
absolutely insane, just absolutely bonkers to the point where he started hallucinating an imaginary friend. And it's just so fucking brutal, bloody, crazy mess of a fucking TV show. Yet there was this really wholesome subplot, or actually it's the main plot, of him coming back from that insanity just enough to realize that he was the father of a child who was in extreme danger. And he had to just pull it together just enough.
Yeah.
Yet he was still the only guy capable of even coming close to saving these children and his daughter, because the criminals who were doing it all were super powerful, insane people of society as well. So it took a nut to beat the nuts. I can't wait for the next season of it. It was really, really good.
I don't know if I mellowed a little bit. I think I've got a lot more focused. I mean, I can still spout the same vicious invective as they still do, and I still feel strongly about these things. But it's more stable than it used to be. It's more focused. It's less, you know, it's less
boisterous.
It's less taking a machine gun and just shooting in random directions.
Less boisterous.
Yeah, it's more pinpoint accurate, and I think finding that happiness in relationships as help with that.
But that said, and this would be, I wish I could explain this to other people I care about, and it be like, you're gonna understand what I'm about to say, but they wouldn't. It's a Marduk song. It's on Front Swine, and it's after Between the Wolf Packs, or it's before Between the Wolf Packs, the machine gun one, where it just starts off with click, bop, 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 and then the music fucking starts. That to me, I don't know, that just does it for me. You know, it you got to unleash every now and then. You know, you have to fucking just spray and pray. You know. Sometimes
hang on, I'm looking up the damn album. I'm looking up the damn song title.
It's a great fucking song, man. That album's fucking great. Like,
the song before Between the Wolf Packs is called Rope of Regret.
I don't know if that's the right song. Give me a second.
Northland, Africa. I love the Blonde Beast. I love the dance, the almost danceable drum beat.
Hear this song. Oh God. Okay. Full album. Yeah, this new laptop. It's not new. It's a used laptop I got. It's very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Dead air. Sorry, folks.
But I have the album. I have the album, so I
Dead air. Oh God, this computer's so fucked. I need to do some more work on it. Definitely.
Let's see here.
Close down some other tabs here.
It's a great album.
Yes, it is. When it finds its way into my CD player in my car, it stays there for a month or two. I just love that album.
Marduk is a band that I never really like. It took me like a year to check them out for some reason. I don't know why. And then once I checked them out, it was like all of their albums are good. Like someone asked me, "Where do I start?" I'm like,
Marduk. Yes, I was about to say the same thing. What's a good start, Marduk? It's the Toyota of black metal. It's just go. Just go listen, and
I always
go
say
from there.
I always say just look up their discography on Metal Archives. Just start from
press
the
play.
Start with the "Fuck Me Jesus" demo.
All right, I'm gonna find this fucking song. Oh my God, dude. Maybe not. This computer just can't do it. It just won't. So I'm gonna have to use my phone.
Love this demo. The fuck me Jesus demo.
Yeah, man. You should outro once I find this song. You should outro this video with that song.
I can't outro. You know that.
Why?
What do you mean? Why?
Okay, fine. All right.
It's on a. It's Google,
Okay.
It's Google Hangout. You know I can't. YouTube.
Man, I really wish I could figure out how to fucking do that shit and do it well.
We need fancy things that we can actually like. Like, if I had the money, I would get like an actual producer and do theme music and sound clips, and that would be so awesome. But I'm just glad I get to do live.
Any kind of anything.
Yeah, I'm just. It's been my dream to do live.
That is not it. Is it Africa? No, that's the Blonde Beast.
Oh, I love that one.
I think it might be Africa.
Oh. Okay.
Nope, it is not. Africa is also great, though.
Yeah.
Okay. God.
I'm looking at the. You say it opens with machine guns or something?
Yeah, and it's not that one. Might be Rope of Regret.
I'm looking at the entire. I have the album open here. God, that's a great song.
Warthland.
Oh, found it.
It's Rope of Regret.
I told you it was Rope of Regret. I fucking told you.
Well, I said I don't know if that's the right name of the song. I couldn't remember the name of the song, remember?
You are
But
literally.
yes, Rope of Regret.
You are literally a person with a thing. Yes.
What are you talking about?
A thing. A bad memory. Yes, it's Rope of Regret. I thought it was.
Yes, you said it was Rope of Regret.
I was right.
But we were looking for the name of the song. You didn't know it either.
I said the album. I thought it was
the song before Between the Wolf Packs, which it is.
Yes.
I was right about that. I just couldn't remember the name of the fucking song.
Yes.
So you're right. I do have a bad memory, but
come on, what's my name?
Motherfucker.
How did you know? I love giving you shit. I give you shit because that's my job.
Yeah. Okay.
Professional shit giver.
Here's a turd. You will like it now.
Yeah, exactly. That is my. There was I don't know if he like the Guar fans didn't like him for some reason, Either because he was a ripoff or because he hated GWAR. Anyway, his name was Turdzilla. And
Okay.
he would make songs like "It Looked Like Chocolate" and "The Stool Pigeon."
Turdzilla.
The Stool Pigeon.
Turdzilla, baby.
Turdzilla.
It's a car. It's a car.
It's all one word. It's a guy. I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
guy.
I spelled it all one word. Hold on.
Turdzilla Band.
Yep. It's exactly what I was going to do next.
But the dog had dropped it.
Two sexy French maids ruin your day. Turdzilla music video.
It's
There
horrible.
we go.
It's
Ruin your day, Muddy Zombie. Yeah, this is already shady.
yeah.
It's just a maid cleaning up a really nasty looking basement.
Yeah, so I love the name though, Turdzilla. Anyway, so
Yes.
so that's
That. It's that because I need to fucking grub down, man. I'm hungry.
all right. I'm gonna eat as well. It's been fun.
So it was fun, man. And maybe in the near future, maybe not. We'll see.
If I don't murder you with turds.
Well, before you can murder me with turds, I'm going to kill you with death. So
All
you don't have to worry about it.
right, we'll see you later.
I'll save you the trouble. All right, man. Take it easy.
See ya.